Alright, what's up everybody? So, not a video I planned on making, not even a video that I want to make, but I think a video that needs to be made. So, we all know about Revival Fitness at this point. He's got a channel that is much bigger than mine. I think it's over twice the amount of subscribers I get, so he gets a good amount of recognition on here. And I'm never going to tell you not to follow somebody or to unfollow somebody, but what I would say is you should probably take any advice that he gives or any of his videos with a grain of salt. And you can ignore me if you want. If you disagree with me, that's fine. But I think at this point, it's genuinely disappointing what his takes are and his overall thoughts about the natural limit. And just overall, how disingenuous he is in his videos and in his comment section. I think it's genuinely disappointing, and I don't think he's being honest with anybody, including himself. So, got a couple notes here today, just a couple things I wanted to go over. I've been commenting every now and then on his videos, and I get comments back and whatnot, and I'll go through his comments and everything. So, there's a lot of stuff that is genuinely just disappointing, and I see myself as someone that tries to fight for actual natural bodybuilding, how big you can get naturally, because I think it gets overlooked, and with his videos, it's just sad that, one, he doesn't see how big you can actually get naturally, but two, it's also just sad how disingenuous he is, and I'll get into a couple examples here throughout the video, but basically, it seems like he's somebody that doesn't actually do any due diligence when he's looking into who's natural and who's not, and what I mean by this is people that make natty or not videos and people that talk about that topic, generally speaking, there are people that have incentive to make videos on people that are probably a little bit more famous. Maybe that's not the right word, but people that are chasing clout and trying to get big. So there are a lot of people that are typically going to be your fake natties. And that's just straight up how it is. There's a lot of guys that are actually natural that don't really care about the fame or the recognition and whatnot, and these guys get overlooked because there's no incentive for the content creator to make videos about those people because, one, it's not going to be controversial because they are natural, and two, they don't have much of a following anyway, so they can't just name drop, get a bunch of clicks and views from those specific people. So when you talk about someone that's in the spotlight, in the fitness industry, and they have a bunch of followers and they have a bunch of influence, basically, the content creator can then leech off of that person's name and their controversial take all at once. So it's killing two birds with one stone. One, you get to name drop somebody, so that's why you see everybody make videos about, like, Sam Sulik. I actually don't know how to say his last name now that I'm on the spot. Sulik or Sulik, but we all know who it is. I could just say Sam, and you guys know who I'm talking about. Same with somebody like David Lade a few years ago, at least. Like, everybody's clickbaiting, name dropping him in natty or not videos. So one, you get to name drop whoever's super famous at the moment, and two, you actually get to say if this person's natural or not, and usually you're going to make it a little bit more biased towards this person's probably not natural. So one, you get the controversy, two, you get the clout and the name and all that drama and whatnot. So this is why actual top natural lifters that are jacked out of their mind don't get recognition, because there's no, they're not in it for the fame and clout, and there's nothing controversial to say about them. So that's why these guys have a couple thousand followers. They barely even make YouTube videos. They're just like in their own lane posting boring stuff on Instagram that's just them being in love with bodybuilding, and they get nothing for it because it's not exciting content, let's be real. That's why. It's not controversial, it's not exciting, they don't play into the algorithm at all. They get no fame, they get no recognition. They get, like on Instagram, I bet most of my followers on here don't even know that I have an Instagram. Even I get more likes than a lot of these guys, and I'm like a niche YouTube channel where I don't even say that I have an Instagram. The only people that find my Instagram are people that are like, oh, I wonder if this guy has one. And even then, it's not like I have a whole ton of followers on here. So that goes to show how little recognition these guys get. So I just wanted to put that in perspective. It's disappointing because it seems like Revival Fitness, well, on one hand, I almost empathize with him because these guys don't just get kind of put in your feet and you're like, oh, that's cool. That guy probably is naturally, looks naturally, competes naturally and whatnot. You almost have to go kind of out of your way to find these guys. I'd argue less so if you are someone that is more into lifting and content creation, which I would assume he is. So it does surprise me a little bit that he's not seeking people like that out a little bit more frequently. It kind of seems like he just really follows the mainstream and just says, oh, well, a lot of these guys are fake natties, and just applies that to a blanket statement and goes tunnel vision and shuts his entire mind off. So I think that's a little bit harmful, but I think that's the reality of what his approach is, and that's how he talks in his comments and everything. So that's why I want you guys to take his stuff with a grain of salt. I would also say, and this is something I talked about in one of my last videos, I think it was in response to Revival yet again. People keep saying that he's in my head and whatnot, but it's always me making a response to something idiotic that he says, or him calling us out, or saying something disingenuous about me or the Noble Natties or something. And he's the one that called us the Noble Natties anyways, and then calls us fake natties. So I don't see how he's in our head. I'm pretty sure it's the other way around, but whatever. I'm just here to defend natural bodybuilding and that potential. So last point that I wanted to go over for today, none of this, and this is where Revival and his whole crew is disingenuous. None of this is to defend GVS or Jeff specifically. He's just the example. He's the person that actually has somewhat of a following that is a top, what I would argue is a top natural physique. And people will say, oh, these guys are defending him. They're calling me out, saying, oh, well, you comment on his videos and you make videos in defense of him, so you're just a nut hugger and you're just like a fanboy. That's a good term. You're just a fanboy, nut hugger, whatever. You're just obsessed with him. And it's like, if you actually watch my videos, that's not the case at all. It's not about Jeff. And this is exactly what I say in my videos. It's not about him. And just putting all of your blind faith in one person, I would never be an advocate of that. But that's the thing, is I've never said that about one specific person. It's not about Jeff. This is disingenuous. It's about the natural bodybuilding potential. Jeff is just the representative for that because he actually has a following and people actually know of him. The people that have equal and sometimes, it sounds crazy, right? But better physiques than him don't have any followers. They get no recognition because they don't make content. They post their boring bodybuilding stuff and training clips on Instagram. It gets a couple hundred likes, but they never meet the algorithm because they're not in it for the algorithm. They're not in it for the clout or the fame, and they're just in it for natural bodybuilding. And that's completely disingenuous. When people say they watch my content or someone else, or even Jeff's content in defense of himself, oh, he's being all defensive. That's a red flag if you're being defensive and defending somebody. And then they say, oh, they're just a bunch of fanboys because they're just obsessed with him and defending him, and they'll defend him at any cost. And it's like, if you actually watch the content or listen to what any of us say, it's not about him. It's about the natural bodybuilding potential. It's about all of these guys. Like I said, he's just the person that can represent it the best because people actually know who he is. And this goes back to the start of the video. The natural bodybuilders, the top guys, nobody knows of because there's no incentive to make clickbait, natty or not, drama videos about these guys. There's nothing to gain. One, because they're natural, so there's no controversy, and two, name dropping them doesn't do anything. It probably actually negatively impacts those channels. Like, do you think someone like Revival Fitness or Greg Doucette or someone would make a video on, like, Richard Marks? No, because nobody knows who that is, and the video would get no views. That's exactly why. And he has probably one of the top natural physiques. Or someone like Adam Powell, another guy that has an incredible natural physique, better than Jeffrey Verdi Schofield. Crazy, right? No, but nobody knows who he is because nobody has incentive to talk about that person, and he's not in it for the clout and everything in the first place. Just one of the many top natural bodybuilders that mog me, and in some cases mog Jeff too. So I think it's disingenuous when they try and twist our words, or twist my words in particular, to think that I'm just a fanboy of him and that our community is just a fanboy of him. That's just the person we have to use because nobody knows any of these other top natural guys. So it's incredibly disingenuous when I see these comments from Revival and from guys that follow his content when they don't actually do their due diligence and they call us out, when in reality he's the one that just puts a blanket statement on everything and And did you see his Natty or Not video? I think it was called the realest Natty or Not video ever made. He, like, it was like every fifth person that he used as an example was actually natural. Like, how are you gonna do that and call it the realest natural or not video ever made? It's like, fake natties exist, obviously, but if just because fake natties exist doesn't mean you can just say, oh, everybody's a fake natty and just apply a blanket statement and just turn off any critical thinking. It's clear to me he's just completely cynical, doesn't want to think about anything, and it's just lazy at the end of the day. So I think that needs to be called out. And with that said, that's pretty much all I'm going to keep it at for today. So if you have any other questions or anything you want to say regarding the topic, feel free to hit me up in the comments.